Hello everyone and everything, and welcome back to more Hollow Knight. In the last episode, we defeated the Soul Master here in the Soul Sanctum. In this episode, the game is about to teach us how to use the newest ability that we just got, the Desolate Dive. And while we go through that, I want to discuss a little bit about the Soul Sanctum, because it's clear by this room filled to the brim with corpses of bugs that something is definitely amiss here. And these things are a good place to start. Follies. We can see it says there were once a highly intelligent bug inflated by the misuse of soul. Mistakes, similarly deformed by the misuse of soul. It's not incredibly obvious what went on here, but it's clear they did something wrong with whatever it is about soul that they were researching. Money, 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 that's obviously more important than soul and lore. This is the only place in the game where soul can be seen stored, as we've seen. And, am I lost? I'm like lost right now, hang on. Ah, here we are. A hidden passage here will actually give us a little bit more lore. Record Senda. Spare thought for those consumed. Through their grace, we are evolved. No plague of mine shall overcome us now. There's the mention of that plague again. It seems that in the Soul Sanctum, the members of it were a sort of cult, banded together to research and do whatever they could to exploit the soul within their bodies and the bodies of others. We can see the terrible consequences of that, but for those that it succeeded on, they seem to gain extraordinary powers. Soul Twisters got the ability to fly and fire off soul. We just got an entry for the mistakes. These fools meddled with the soul of other creatures and lost their shape. Now they skulk through the shadows of their sanctum like slugs, hoping their old brothers will build them new bodies. It is completely horrible, whatever atrocities went on here. It's not obvious how they managed to build up so much when they were destroying so many people, so many lives to reach their goals, but it seems... Ooh, hey, a grub. More corpses, more mistakes, more follies. Whatever happened, though, it seems that at least the Soul Master got the best of it, having far more powers and abilities than anyone else. I wonder if he thinks it was worth it. All a little bit of a downer when you start to think of it too hard. This room is filled, even in the background there. The walls are made of shells of bugs who have been drained. Before we head on, we crashed past a grub there as we were descending. This is a very effective tutorial. It shows us some of the more obvious and some of the more secret ways we can use our Desolate Dive to interact with the world. And immediately you should be thinking of ways and places that we can already go back to by this point. But while we're back here, you may have noticed that the Soul Master has a bit of a... has some of those dream particles surrounding him. Even though he's been defeated, I wonder what we would find if we pried into his mind. So before we vacate the Soul Sanctum, leave it behind in all of its horrors, we're going to climb back up there and see just what that's about. We find ourselves back in the dream realm. Apparently his thoughts are buried deep within. I dearly hope you didn't assume my little difficulty scale was out of 5. We have a long way to go. I could tell you that this is basically an endgame boss. I could tell you that there are at least 2 abilities we have yet to get that would make this way easier, or that 1,250 health is more than double any boss we've faced so far. But suffice to say that we are heavily under-equipped to take on the Soul Tyrant. But I'm gonna try it anyway! This is our first instance of a Dream rematch, basically a heavily bolstered version of a boss we've already faced. Essentially, the Soul Tyrant is the Soul Master, but way faster. He attacks and teleports more frequently, and just about everything is less telegraphed. However, the nature of the attacks remains the same, so the way we dodge them remains pretty similar, just faster. So I won't be going over them in as much detail as I did in the Soul Master's bio, unless there are some differences that change how we have to dodge. With that in mind, the Soul Orb is the same as it was, a homing projectile best dodged by moving underneath it so that it crashes into the ground. The biggest difference here is a direct result of the Soul Tyrant's increased teleport frequency. He will teleport and relocate almost instantly after firing one of these off, so if you haven't hit him by the time he's fired the orb, he's gonna vanish and you're just gonna hit thin air. As such, we're not gonna focus on chasing him down, but instead stay at center stage and only go out of our way to hit him when he appears close enough. Otherwise, we're just gonna focus on dodging the orbs. Get ready for a long haul with this fight. Letting him come to you is key for getting your damage in, but he does not always come to you. The Soul Pinwheel has received the most dramatic change of his attacks, with an upgrade from 4 orbs to 6. The arrangement of these orbs is honestly pretty weird, since they're not evenly spaced. Dodging this attack can feel off. The biggest reason for that is that the safe spots to dodge are completely different depending on which side of the stage he starts at. If he starts on the right, retreat to this point of the stage and jump here. Getting in an upslash is also a good idea here. However, if he starts on the left, retreating to the right side of the stage and trying to dodge the same way is a much tighter window. Instead, advance towards his starting position and clear the jump here. Thankfully, the second half of this attack still maintains its big blind spot at center stage. Make lots of use of this to heal. Trust me, you're gonna need it. The dash is, of course, faster, but honestly that makes it a little simpler than before. Not much else to say here. Jump, nail pogo, carry on. And that brings us to the new and improved Desolate Dive. Apart from an increase in speed giving you less time to react, this attack's shockwaves have gotten a lot taller. They can now only just be cleared by our normal jump. They are thankfully a little shorter than they look, but it's still a super tight jump to make. To make it at all comfortably, you're going to have to jump before the Soul Tyrant has hit the ground. But remember, he can also fake you out. And I'm here to tell you right now that if you just use your jump and your dash, you will not be dodging this attack reliably. Jump before he lands to give yourself the best chance of dodging the shockwaves, and there's almost no way to dodge both him and the shockwaves on the repositioned dive. Stay on the ground long enough that you'll be able to react in time to a fake out, and you might not have enough time to clear the shockwaves if he doesn't do a fake out. So we have to look at other options. Option 1 is the wall jump. Dash on the ground, jump, then dash again in the same direction, and you should reach one of the walls to get a much needed delay from hitting the ground. However, the positioning doesn't always work out here, so for something truly consistent, we're gonna need something else. It's time to learn how to use our newest technique real fast. So here's our crash course. Our own Desolate Dive has 15 frames of windup, and then as soon as we hit this frame, we become invincible to all attacks. This invincibility continues on until this frame. That's nearly a whole second of invincibility to take advantage of. This is extremely useful for avoiding damage from attacks like these, but it does, of course, cost soul. However, as long as we have soul, I recommend dodging this attack like this. Jump up and to the side, then dive. Do not wait to see if he's going to fake out so you can try and react in time. Compared to the 1 or 2 frames of windup our jump or dash has, 15 frames is an age. It has to be planned and considered. So, plan to use the dive regardless of what he does. If he does fake us out, we'll get the added bonus of dealing 20 damage to him, and if he doesn't, we'll still avoid the hit just fine. The Soul Master's second phase is back in full force too. This time, after dealing 900 damage, his second phase accounts for 350 of his health. Like before, he will alternate between only 2 attacks. The new Desolate Deluge is actually not too much faster than the original, but the width of the impact hitbox has dramatically increased. Dodging this while grounded is unreliable at best because of this change. Jumping should give you the space you need, but once again, just be aware that he can fake you out. Just kidding! See, that time I faked you out. Yeah, I was actually surprised to realize while recording footage for this that this is the only way that the Tyrant is actually easier than the Master. He never fakes you out during Desolate Deluge, so take it easy. You don't even need to worry about that. The Soul Storm is going to kill you. That's the reality of the situation, and the sooner you accept it, the sooner you can learn from it. He now summons 7 orbs in a row and at a much greater frequency. Unlike the Soul Master, you don't have the freedom to just wail on him during this attack. Dodging the onslaught of projectiles takes priority. It is not at all uncommon for the orbs to spawn in tricky positions that force you to jump over them before you can lure them down, and that can result in 2 orbs at once pursuing you, perhaps even 3. Once again, it's the Desolate Dive's time to shine. If you find yourself getting overwhelmed, you can use the spell to give yourself a little breathing room, and maybe get in some damage if he's close enough to the ground. So, how do we go about this? Well, with the help of our old friend, Center Stage. Somewhat similar to Hornet, we are never going to pursue him far outside the reaches of the center here. If he teleports in more than a Mothwing dash length away, just don't bother. He'll have already teleported out by the time you reach his position. If you find yourself missing hit after hit, just reset. Head to neutral and get back in sync with him. Here again, because I can't stress it enough, use your Desolate Dive to dodge his Desolate Dive, so long as you have the soul. Unless you've upgraded further, that's going to be our best way. I also want to draw attention to the fact that he can indeed be staggered, but you are never ever going to get a combo chain of 10 with how fast he moves all over the stage. 19 hits is a lot. He has so much HP that you will stagger him a few times over the course of the fight, but unlike the Soul Master, you can't rely on this as a frequent opportunity to heal. Heal during Soul Pinwheel, as much as you can. Finally, I have a new category here in the bio, because this is the first time I can confidently recommend specific charms. I haven't done this before, and I'll only be doing it sparingly, because I don't want to influence people's favorite loadouts too much. The charms give you so much freedom on how to tackle the game's challenges, and I don't want to take that away from people if I can help it. But here I have to recommend either Soul Catcher or Spell Twister. You'll want to use Desolate Dive a lot throughout this fight, and either one of these charms will compensate for the heavy burden that places on your soul meter. Remember that Spell Twister doesn't reduce the cost of healing, so if you find yourself running short on soul wall healing, I'd recommend Soul Catcher slightly more, but it's all down to preference. My only other advice is to come back later. This fight will be made so much easier with every upgrade we find on our journey. But I know we can do this. So I say, we will do this. The Soul Tyrant is incredibly difficult, no doubt about it. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if I lose here. But what is life without a little bit of risk? Oh, shoot. Following my own advice is probably a bit of a hassle, right? Okay, yep, there that was. But even though we're on Steel Soul mode, that came with no consequences. So because that was in the dream realm, we wake up back here in the real world, all well and good. And I want to draw especially attention to the fact that our fragile charms are still intact, despite the fact I had them equipped in that battle. For this fight, I highly recommend, if you have any of the fragile charms, feel free, equip Fragile Strength, equip Fragile Heart. Get whatever you need, any tool you have, because the consequences here are way less. The fact that we don't even go back to our last bench is a huge boon to helping you tackle this fight as fast as possible. All it takes is waking up, getting back into the fight, and tackling it again. Now let's get this done. I apologize if I'm going to be a little bit more quiet than usual here. This fight obviously takes significantly more concentration than the likes of the Gruz Mother and anything else. He is fast, he is agile, he teleports, he's so threatening. Everything about him is just overwhelming. Especially if you have no idea what to expect, as is obviously going to be the case for any first-time player. So as for what a dream rematch is, it's clear that we are within the mind of the soul master, much as we are when we read the thoughts of someone else. But this is clearly something very different from just his flat-out thoughts. And I do wish it were a little bit more set in stone, a little bit clearer, just what it is we're fighting here. Is this what he sees himself as? Is this his desire? Is this him at the peak of his power? I think my personal interpretation of this, don't take this as fact, but my personal interpretation is that this, as his dream, is his greatest desire. This is as powerful as he wished to become through the use of soul. This is everything that he wanted to be. We also learned through reading Record Senda that becoming more powerful with soul like this was their way of combating the plague that we've seen throughout the world so far. And we also know that plague affects the mind in some way, just as much as it does the body. Ow. So maybe this is as powerful as soul makes you in your mind, fortifying you against the infection. Like I said, it's all speculation, none of it's super clear. What is clear is that we've got a foe before us to take down. And he, with however much HP, 1250, he is definitely an endurance challenge. Now, this is a nice little element of him. Once you beat him, if you jump over to this left platform here, you have all the time in the world to heal back up to full before engaging him down below. But once you've gathered your thoughts, let's take him down. I also want to point out that the timing on this attack to get the attack on him honestly feels a little easier than it was for the Soul Master. Ouch. I definitely don't want to take too much damage here because healing it off is just impossible. As long as you... So the goal here is to dash the moment he appears. Get into a rhythm with how soon after he crashes that he reappears, and you can basically just know when to dash at the ideal time, regardless. And that finishes off our first super boss of the game. We get the achievement Mortality for defeating him, and it seems we are finally granted access into his words of his mind.
In my dreams I could see it. The kingdom's salvation, the cure for the plague, the answer was in the soul that animates our bodies. But the king, why? He opposed everything I did. His jealousy, his madness, by standing against me, he robbed me of my immortality. Now the king and his kingdom are dead, but I will live forever.
We get a truckload, 300 essence for finishing him off. And that is that. We've also unlocked the entry for Follies. I've heard whispers that the secrets these fools were searching for was immortality, to live forever. I've never heard of anything so obscene. Let's also read the Soul Master. Head of the Soul Sanctum, hoarded soul hoping to save Hellenist's affliction, but eventually became intoxicated by its power. The bugs of Hellenist tried all kinds of tricks and rituals and prayers to rid themselves of the infection, but to no avail. Perhaps the infection came from somewhere deep inside of them that they could not escape. And it seems that the Soul Tyrant does not get an entry, which makes sense. I don't see why the hunter would have written about it, a dream had by a creature. I definitely don't want to get too cocky having beaten the Soul Tyrant. He is easily one of the most difficult bosses that we can find around. But that doesn't mean that we are ready for anything just because we've beaten him. We can unlock another shortcut back down here to this room. And now we are just about... Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Alright, that's weird. I thought the spikes were gonna get me. But that's okay. But all that just leaves the question, where to next? We have so many possibilities, so many objectives. The world has opened up to us at an immense scale. And where we go now is pretty much entirely up to us. We could chase after these masks, try and flee to the far reaches of the kingdom, explore places we've been before to try and find secrets uncoverable by the desolate dive. It is all up to us. For me personally, I am going to head back to Green Path. Back in episode 4, I believe, I alluded to the fact that I skipped over one of the charms we could get here for the sake of efficiency. And today I say we head back and find that charm, as well as whatever else I decided not to skip. Back up here in the room where we first fought the Vengefly King, I want to draw attention to the fact that should you have chosen not to save Zote from its jaws, there will be something unique here. Available after you get the Mantis Claw, you can find Zote's mask here on the ground if you didn't save him. If you hit it, you will get the achievement Neglect. Only possible to get if you didn't save Zote. I, of course, did save Zote on this file, but this is an all-achievement guide of sorts, so I did want to show that as well. Up here in the top right corner of that same room, we'll find a room that we could have gotten to earlier but couldn't have done much in without the Mothwing Cloak. And now that we have the Mothwing Cloak as well as a couple of other things, like the Mantis Claw, we can finally fully explore this room and get all that it has to offer. Most of it's just geo, and not too much of it, but every little bit is going to, even if it doesn't, like, count, it's fun to get. So this is what you need the Mothwing Cloak for, is this right here. It's impossible to make this jump without it. And let's see what reward it was. Woo! Single geo! Nice! Just kidding, obviously. Satisfy your curiosity to... Ouch! Oh dear. This is actually not ideal. Because I... Oh, actually, hang on. I know what we can do here. I'm going to focus on this one on the right. Honestly, the fact that my nail has been upgraded makes this a lot harder than it once was. Okay. So, I want to show off... This is a great opportunity to show off something about our Dream Nail. We can hit enemies with it, and they tend to have very basic thoughts. Hidden, safe, dark, protect. Basically just voicing their instincts more than anything. But you may also notice that hitting an enemy with our Dream Nail grants us 33 soul each time we successfully do it, which gives it a really nice little application in combat. Open up that shortcut back to the main room there. And over here is that charm I alluded to, the Balder Shell. The Balder Shell is a really unique charm that gives you an invincible shell around yourself whenever you're focusing for healing. This has a lot of applications, but be warned that it can also cause, that the shell can break if it takes too much damage. unlike the fragile charms, it automatically repairs itself. Ow! These stalactites are very rude. Um, but automatically repairs itself whenever you sit at a bench. But it is something to focus on. So this area is one we have to have had the mantis claw to reach, which is why I didn't want to go out of my way for the balder shell yet, because I didn't want to get that with going out here. But we find ourselves in a new area, the Howling Cliffs. We get a King's Idol there, another excellent boon to us. And head all the way over here. We can't seem to advance past here because the wind pushes us back. But we find ourselves here at the sort of outskirts of the kingdom, the border of Hallownest. And we see what sort of fate awaits those who try and wander away. So let's stay relatively safe within the kingdom and mess around with getting some dream essence. Good stuff all around. Almost just wandered back out the way I came. That would have just been kind of dumb. So this is one of the biggest rooms with a whisper root in it. I guess inn isn't very good word for it, or room, because we're outside. But it's such a vast area, and getting every single essence here is actually a bit tricky, because it's so easy to miss one in a space this size. But we're going to be diligent about it, see if we can get all of them on our way up. This is another reason I wanted to put this area off until later, because I wanted to have the dream nail so we could get this done. And I hope I don't miss one. I'm just kind of doing my best to be thorough here. But it is, as I said, very easy to miss. Oh, I heard Cornifer over there. Ow. Come on. There's a secret wall here, but we're not going to explore past it just yet, because I still want to get all the essence before we leave the room. As I said, should we leave the room, we will be deprived of any essence that we collected from this room and have to start all over again. Rather not do that. That sounds just the least bit tedious. The enemies around here are nothing to speak of. This area is kind of unique as far as the areas go, because it's one that, depending on how you go about things, you can visit as early as like right after the fungal wastes, or as late as like it being the last area you visit in the whole game. And so it's accounted for being pretty easy because you can get here so early. But just how powerful you can be by the first time you visit here is kind of just funny. But I have to stress more and more how wide open things are. Was that the last one? Oh no. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna... Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh, hey, I see it, I saw it. Okay, hang on. Okay, please be like the last group. Well, that wasn't the last group, but we found our mapping friend enjoying the bracing air. We're quite close to Hallownest borders and those desolate plains around it. In this direction, I'm about as far as I'm willing to go, though it's been a pleasant change from the tight confines of the caverns. I've drawn out a small map for the area. It's a simple one, and more for completion, really. Not knowing the full extent of the region can be quite frustrating. So, funnily enough, I've been calling him Cornifer this whole time, but I forgot to have him introduce himself. Oh, by the way, I haven't introduced myself, have I? Yes, I should apologize for that. When you spend a lot of time by yourself with just your own thoughts, you forget the niceties of conversation. My name is Cornifer, and I've always loved exploring the world. Why, when I was first hatched, I wandered off immediately, leaving my brothers and sisters and poor mother behind. That's why, as soon as I could, I moved to Dirtmouth with my wife, a huge unending kingdom to explore right on our doorstep. Who could resist? Anyway, I'll let you return to your travels. With a little luck, we'll meet again. Be safe and farewell. Yes, he will say that if you ever talk to him after purchasing one of his maps. But I never did. Okay, that sound means we filled up we finished that whisper route. Thank goodness, because oh, what a struggle. Okay, so we are going to go back to that hidden door that I found earlier. I believe this one right here, marked by this lore tablet. Higher beings, these words are for you alone. These blasted plains stretch, never ending. There is no world beyond. Those foolish enough to traverse this void must pay the toll and relinquish the precious mind this kingdom grants. A little bit of obtuse language, but I will essentially translate right now that what that means is that any bug who leaves the nest essentially loses their mind. Not quite madness, but more so regresses. Now this entrance right here is basically the biggest reason why I'm doing this as early as I am. All there is here is a single corpse of a bug. A large bug, sorry game. And he looks a bit strange, not super clear what's about. He can't be attacked, but hidden things can be revealed to us. The dream essence surrounding him is red, apparently. That is definitely new compared to what we've seen, and this was not here before we dream nailed him. Ah. Not in the least bit ominous, no, not at all. It's definitely a mystery what lighting that torch accomplished for us. But I'm sure that we'll find out as soon as we should, as soon as we have to, when it's best for us. This room is actually a pitch dark room, the first one we visited since acquiring the Lumafly lantern. And there are spikes and vengeflies galore. Exploring here without the lantern would just be such a fool's errand. But as it stands, exploring with it, with the lantern is still really difficult. Wait a minute. Oh, it's not really clear where we get sent back whenever we get hit by these spikes. Nail pogoing around here is obviously pretty smart. Jumping like that guy is not pretty smart, but oh my goodness. Vengefly is spawning in from around us. This area is just designed to make sure you cannot explore here without the lantern. Honestly, like, I would like to see someone do it. I don't want to do it. But I feel like it would be really cool to see someone get through here blind. Then again, you know, people are insane. They can accomplish absolutely... Goodness, that was such an embarrassing fall. People can accomplish absolutely incredible feats with enough persistence. Now, we're seeing a lot of those lifeblood butterflies around here. And tons of them here, more than we've ever seen. Whatever's down here must be pretty significant. Joni's blessing. Hello?
Ah, I see you bear my blessing. I can't remember giving it, but my memory has been a little lacking of late.
This is our first non-aggressive dream. Very much like the Dream Warriors, it's not super clear what this is, as opposed, like, is it a ghost? Is it the will of something? Not clear. Should we strike that with our Dream Nail? They will vanish, and we will get one single Dream Essence for it. Honestly, it is just beyond me what this means for the dream. Are they a lingering will that we are banishing away from this world? Are we bringing them with us in the form of dream essence? I do not feel confident in saying what right now. But we will definitely be giving it more thought as time goes on. as we carry on into this second major area here, I want to point out just how big this area is without any benches revealed to us so far. Quantifer was nice enough to mark one on the map for us, though, just ahead. So let's see if we can't find that. And there we are. Apparently that areas we found was called Joni's Repose. And we have explored a great deal of the Howling Cliffs today. We are actually just about done with it. So in the next episode, we're going to finish it off and explore yet further. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys liked this episode, you can hit that like button, but know that if you do, I will experiment with Soul until I go mad and wail on you relentlessly with a super difficult boss fight. See you guys next time.